It is February 4th, and I'm recording this, which is kind of crazy, because I recorded this in January. I recorded this on January 3rd, because I remember going, hello, it's January 3rd, in the first part of the video, but I'm recording it again because I had to reset my camera and format my SD card. So I lost all the footage, but that's okay because I actually started editing it, the footage I had already shot, and it was like, girl, what are you talking about? But basically what this is, or what this is going to be, is a 2025 books slash reading in review type thing. So I'm just going to talk about all the books I read in 2025 and what I thought about them and like my readings. Yeah, just like a little review slash recap type thing. So yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. And we are starting it off with I think I'm gonna do it in like seasons, so like winter first, etc, etc. And then I also have all the poetry books that I read last year like set out separately. So I might do like all the regular books and then poetry afterwards. I don't know, we'll see how I'm feeling as the video progresses. Whoop. Okay, so we're starting off with the first read of the year, or technically like the first 3 reads of the year, I guess, because it's a series. And I borrowed this from a friend actually, and then I got my own copy of the first book, but I borrowed the other 2 also from my friend, so I only have the first one. So you'll just have to imagine the second 2. But the first read, or 3 reads of the year, first series of the year, was The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakavic. And then that's also The Raven King and Kingsman by Nora Sakavic. And you know what? It might not be a good time in my life for me to talk about this. It might not be a good time in my life for me to think about Neil Jostin, or Andrew Minyard, or Andriel, or Worth Every Cut and Bruise and Scream, or You Gave Me a King Called Home. Might not be the best time for me in life to talk about that right now. But I'm going to anyways because that's kind of what this video is supposed to be about. So I don't know if I should like give you guys like a synopsis or just like what I thought about it, how I felt reading it, I don't know. But basically this is a book series about Neil Jostin in a fictional game called Exe, and I think actually it might be a very, very good time for a Foxhole Court reread, because in my mind I can see the Andriel Hollanov connections. I can see the Andriel Hollanov parallels, if you will. And the friend who I borrowed these from, Fiona, if you're watching this and you don't agree, sorry. Freaking sorry, I see it. But that part. So yeah. I'm not going to go into very much detail because I think I will maybe throw up if I think too hard about Neil Jostin right now. But yeah, very good series. A little bit like, I don't know, I think that this is just such a funny series because I love it so much and it elicits such an emotion, but it's just very silly. And it's just like, why is this the like worst like printed edition of a book I've ever seen? No hate at all. I love independent publishers. I love independent writers. Like, do your thing. Do what you gotta do. If it has to be like genuinely like Times New Roman on like plain white printer paper, that's fine. That's fine. Do that. And it was great. And I'm so glad that it got published. But yeah, it's very silly to feel like as I do about it because it's like, so you're reading fan fiction. You're reading printed out fan fiction. But I'm not. It's not like that. It's different. But I don't know. I'm not gonna read the back. Actually, I will. I'm gonna read the back just because I feel like this is kind of elusive. Like, I'm not explaining this very well in a way where you can get any idea for the plot. I'm just being like, yeah, there's like angst and there's like people being gay and there's like sports and whatever. Which like great. I'm alert, but I'm not grasping the concept really. So yeah, I'm gonna read the back of this one. I won't do that for everyone because that'd probably take too long, but yeah. Neil Jostin is the newest addition to the Palmetto State University Exe team. He's short, he's fast, he's got a ton of potential, and he's the runaway son of the murderous crime lord known as the Butcher. It's good, I promise. Okay, signing a contract with the PSU Foxes. Oh! Did that reverberate like crazy, or am I like actually tripping? I heard it. I don't know. The PSU Foxes. Whew. Anyways. Signing a contract with the PSU Foxes is the last thing a guy like Neil should do. The team is high profile and he doesn't need sports news. I can't read. And he doesn't need sports. Hold on. And he doesn't need sports crews broadcasting pictures of his face around. The team is high profile and he doesn't need sports crews broadcasting pictures of his face around the nation. His lives will, Jesus Christ, his lives will hold up only so long under this kind of scrutiny and the truth will get him killed. But Neil's not the only one with secrets on the team. One of Neil's new teammates is a friend from his old life, and Neil can't walk away from him a second time. Neil has survived the last 8 years by running. Maybe he's finally found someone and something worth fighting for. Woo! Woo! Maybe he's finally found someone and something worth fighting for. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Basically, if you read it. Okay, moving on. The next book of 2025 was The Mothers by Britt Bennett. And this book, I think I gave it like a 3.5 star rating. I really liked it, and I remember really liking it while I was reading it. And then I do also remember really not being a fan of the ending. And I think I have like a quotes list somewhere from this one that I was keeping. But yeah, this one just kind of didn't really stick with me that well, and also the only thing that is like coming to mind when I'm thinking of it is the fact that I didn't like the ending. But I do remember there being some really good quotes. I remember it being like having more potential than I thought it like fully realized, you know? But I did like it. I liked it a lot. And it's like worth the read. It just wasn't one that like I read it and I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? But very good writing, a lot of good quotes. I just didn't like the way it ended. And I honestly am probably not representing this very well because I don't really remember what happened. So I'm gonna move on from that one because I feel like I'm not doing that justice. Okay. I also am gonna check my Goodreads again because there were a lot of ones. Okay, just kidding. Next one is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, and this is a memoir, which I love memoirs. Memoirs are one of my favorite kinds of books, and I am a big fan, and this just fell out of it. Little bookmark. Anyways, this book was very, I don't normally, like, even on my Goodreads, I don't normally rate memoirs because it feels like a little mean to be like, this is your life story and you were super vulnerable and you wrote everything down and you shared it with the public so they could get something out of it, and I'm gonna say it's bad. Not that this one was bad, this one was great, but I just don't like to comment on it that much. So I'm not gonna comment on this one that much either, like in this video, because it was like a real person's real life and things that actually really happened to her. All I will say is that it's very good, it's very sad, it's very much like, I don't know, it made everything feel very real, and like, I think it's a very good read for people who don't feel like there's a lot of realistic, like, queer representation out there. Maybe because it is about an abusive queer relationship, which, not to say that's like, realistic for everybody, but it is just something that should be talked about, and I don't feel like it's talked about a lot, because I think there's kind of like an idea of like, you can't open the door to like, talking about negative things that happen within the queer community without opening the door to unwarranted complaints or like unwarranted conversations that are just like, no, like you don't get it. You're not like, I don't know. I feel like that always happens whenever I like have something to say about something that happens like maybe in the queer community, or just, you know, honestly with things in general where like I don't want to bring up a complaint or like something that I think isn't the best, because then I feel like that kind of like just makes it feel like it's an open discourse, and it's like, no, this is actually a very like sensitive and maybe even personal issue, and I wasn't really asking for input on it. So yeah, I feel like that's a good book to read because it's like you can process it on your own, and it's not anything against the queer community, it's just a truth about it, you know? And so yeah, I am grateful to that book for doing that. It did Like, obviously it wasn't like a fun read, but I did love the way it was laid out. Like, I really liked the way that she like ordered the events, because I feel like it made you like feel like you were in the situation, you know? So really well written, and very necessary, unfortunately, but yeah, very, very good. Okay, I'm gonna do one more physical one, and then we're gonna have like a string of ones that I don't actually have on me physically. So I'll just talk about those without showing you, which I don't like doing because I like having the little like shown up. But the next one is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, which Toni Morrison is one of my favorite authors ever. Maybe just my favorite author ever. I don't know. I love her so incredibly much. I love her writing. I love every story I read of hers. She just, wow, like she knows how to write a sentence. Truly, truly, truly. And I sometimes like I'll read something that Toni Morrison wrote and be like, I don't know how she knows how to, oh, okay. I don't know how she knows how to use words so much better than everybody else does, because she has the same like 26 letters in the alphabet that we all do, but she does something else with them. I don't know. But damn, like truly, 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 this was the third Toni Morrison book I read, and then I like read a bunch more in 2025, as we will later see. But the like little quote on the back says, "So charged with pain and wonder that the novel becomes poetry," and I think that's so like every book of hers is just poetry. It's a story told through poetry, and this one's no different. Obviously, the other ones, I'm trying to think of what the other two were that I read before this. I know one of them was Song of Solomon, and that was the first one I read by her. And that one was, I was so surprised. I don't know why. It just like was not what I was expecting at all. And her writing wasn't what I was expecting at all. And I was, honestly, Song of Solomon, like, and this feels like genuinely blasphemous to say, but I wasn't like a fan of it. I've read it again since then. But the first time I read it, I didn't like it, and that is so insane to me to say after having read not all of her books. I think maybe almost all of her books, but like after being like, oh, like Toni Morrison, you know what I mean? Because I didn't like it, and I think I didn't like it just because I had like, I don't know, I thought she was gonna be like light and like ooh, you know. That not what it was. And this is no different. This is very heavy, very sad, very just like, whew, like it sits with you. It sits kind of on you, actually. And this freaking copy of this book is that like disrespectful? I don't know. But it's so incredibly floppy and just like movie, because I read this in my gym class last year. So we'd have to like walk the mile, and I looked so performative doing this, and I know I did, but like, sorry, I don't care. But I would like fold it like Jess Mariano style and walk around reading it. Sorry, it's easy to read that way. Anyways, wow, 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 wow. I love her writing. It's definitely one of, like, it's obviously all of her books are great. It's not one of my favorites of hers, which even so, like, it's still one of my favorite books in general. But it's not like, I don't know, I think it would be like in my top 5 maybe, but not like my top 3. If you haven't read Toni Morrison, do it. This is a great place to start. This is, I think, where a lot of people will start. I think this is probably her most famous one. It's a good book. Really, really good book. Okay. So now we're gonna do like a string of ones that I don't have physically, either because I borrowed them from like a friend or from the library. So yeah. So next up we have Hollywood's Eve, Eve Babbitt's and the Secret History of LA by Lily Analick, which was one I borrowed from the library. And that shit was so freaking good. I did not know who Eve Babbitt was before I read this book. I literally just liked the cover because it was a picture of a baddie, and I was like, okay, I'll get into it. But it was so good to me because I have never read a more subjective, like, biography ever in my life. And there's actually another book by Lily Analick that I really want to read. It's called Babbitts and Didion, or Didion and Babbitts. I don't remember the order of it. But that that author, like, wow, she is just a fangirl who is like just taking it to the max, like writing books about it. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. I will say that the only thing I didn't like about it was that Eve Babbitts and Joan Didion had a bit of a like rivalry, I guess. Heated rivalry. Oh, hold on. This feels like a good time to do this. Yeah, that's, oh, no big freaking deal. Anyways, okay, back to what I was saying. Anyways, so, yeah, Joan Didion and Eve Babbitts apparently had like a little bit of a rivalry in like the 60s, 70s. But, yeah, so, like, Annalick was kind of going into that and like talking about it, and she kept dissing on Joan Didion, and I was like, girl, don't do that. That's my girl. But it was a very interesting biography. It was like kind of niche. It just wasn't something that I got into more of that kind of history after reading that, because I was like, oh, that's like actually really interesting. But yeah, very like a certain person would like it, you know what I mean? But if you like Eve Babbitts, if you like Sex and Rage, like, go read it. And Sex and Rage is a book. I'm not just talking about like in general. But honestly, yeah, if you like Sex and Rage as concepts, you'd probably like Eve Babbitts. But yeah, my review for this on Goodreads was by far the least objective book I've ever read, and I love it. Annalick literally just has a girl crush and chose the funniest possible way to rant about it. She didn't have to go after Didion like that, though someone's jealous. And I stand by that, because she was. But yeah, very good. I liked it. I do want to read Didion and Babbitts, just because it's like, I feel like Annalick is like YN, like self-insert into the world of Eve Babbitts. And like, yeah, girl. Yeah, me too. But anyways, moving on. The next one I read is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And that is it's a pretty short book. It's actually just like formatted as a letter to his son, from the author to his son, which I thought was a really interesting way to kind of like, it's kind of like well, it literally is an open letter, I guess, but I thought that was a really interesting way to, you know, write the story that he was writing, and a very effective way to, you know, say what he was wanting to say. I really, really enjoyed it. There is another book by him that I can't remember the name of it right now, but I definitely want to read it, and it's like completely escaping me right now. But definitely recommend Between the World and Me. Go read it. Also, I read that in January, and then I read another book that I'll get to later in like June, and I figured out that that is where the title of that comes from. No way. And I did feel really like, oh my god, when I realized that in June, because I was just like, holy connections, like we're putting two and two together. But yeah, I felt like I was like really putting the pieces together, and I'd understood something. But very, very good. Definitely recommend. 5 out of 5. Okay. Next up, we have Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. And this is another one that I just liked the cover of it. I thought it looked cool. It has a spaceship on it. I was like, okay. But I checked this out from my library. It was like very, like, again, not something that I normally would read. Felt niche. Felt like something I was like, what are you talking about? But I just thought it was really interesting because I am very, very interested in, immediately forgot the word, linguistics, and how like language is genuinely like one of our like strongest tools ever. I say that sounding fucking dumb. First of all, you're using like every other word. Whatever, I don't have a freaking script, like I'm just saying what comes to mind. Anyways, my review of this on Goodreads is super interesting and sort of niche. I learned a lot about things I probably wouldn't have been interested in otherwise, but the writing was just a tad repetitive. Which that's true. I do remember that now. She kept doing this thing where, like, the author, obviously, oh, okay, we're just getting blurry every once in a while. But she kept doing this thing about, like, where she would introduce a topic and, like, write a paragraph about it and be like, we'll hear more about this in part 2 or, like, chapter 4 or something. And I was like, girl, just, like, tell me now. But she did it, like, I know that's, like, a relatively normal thing, but she did it so many times that I was like, just, like, lay out the information after you introduce it. Like, what are you doing? But I did think it was really interesting, and there was, it's like, it was about how cult leaders and fascists and brands all use very similar, like that sounds like kind of crazy, but they all use very similar jargon and just like manipulation tactics to get people to follow them or to like support them or whatever. And I thought it was really, really interesting. She talked about like Lululemon and Scientology and some other things that I was just like, I don't know much about this, and it felt like I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But she also talked about a couple like famous cults, and there was like 3 big ones that I remember. I can't remember one of them, but the other 2 were Heaven's Gate and the Jonestown Massacre, or Jonestown, which I had heard about Heaven's Gate and Jonestown. Genuinely cannot remember the 3rd one, I don't know. But it was like an acronym, I think. I don't remember. But I didn't know very much about either one. And she talked about Jonestown a lot, and she mentioned something called the Jonestown Death Tape, and I was like, now what's this? So naturally I went on Wikipedia, which apparently there is just a link to that on there. So I did in fact listen to that one day while I was cleaning my car. It's a 40-minute long, or like about 40-minute long, tape of like the Jonestown cult's last minutes alive. And it's really crazy and very dark, and I'm not a fan of the fact that I ever listened to that. Because it did like give me nightmares for a while afterwards, and just felt like a very crazy thing to have in my memory or in my mind whatsoever. But it was interesting. It just, I don't like that that's out there. And it's very sad. It's very, very incredibly sad. But if you are kind of like, I don't know, morbidly curious, then it is just on Wikipedia. It's the Jonestown Death Tape. Kind of crazy, really scary. Yeah, fuck Jim Jones, obviously, but crazy stuff. Anyways, okay, moving on. That shit scared the shit out of me. Like, I actually like that fuck. I'm telling you guys because I didn't have to. I searched that up on my own, like, free will. But I listened to it and I regret it. So now I'm telling you guys to go listen to it and regret it. So I'm not alone in that. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more non-physical ones, even though it's out of order technically, just because I don't want to go like physical, non-physical, physical, non-physical, etc. So the next one is Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And this is, it's myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. I had this on my reading like list for so long. My sister bought this in like genuinely 2018. And she's had a copy of it for that long, and I've wanted to read it for that long, but she would never lend me her copy, and she finally did. And I read it, and I didn't freaking like it that much, and I didn't think it was that good. I thought it was, I don't know. I need to know what year it was written, because I thought it was very trite and very just like, girl, we know, you know? But if it had been written maybe in like the 70s or something, then I could like be like, oh, so this was a little bit more progressive than I was thinking it was, because I was reading it as like a modern day like feminist thing, and it was like a first wave feminist, or like a second wave feminist thing. I don't fucking know. But it was okay. I don't know. I didn't like it very much. And I've seen a bunch of people read it and like be like, oh, this book changed my life, and I'm like, did I read a different book? Because this shit kind of pissed me off, actually. Like, I kind of found it annoying. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not gonna dwell on it too long because I don't know, it just felt superficial, very surface level, and just kind of like already stuff that I was like, we know, you know? But that's fine, you know, that's okay. Okay, the next one is one that I'm excited about. It is Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, en français, pour mon classe de français. And so I read this in French class, and we read it in French. And it was genuinely just such a fun experience. Obviously, like, it's the second most translated book in the world. Like, we know it's good. But I had never read it before. And I just seen the movie that came out in like 2016 or whatever. I don't know. But genuinely, what a life-changing book. What a life-changing little book. I read it in winter again. I think I read this one in around February. But it just really gave me so much hope And I was just like, wow, like we can hold on to whimsy for as long as we possibly can, and that's okay. And that's a good thing to do, actually. And it made me feel very, very hopeful and very open to growing up, which is not something that I feel very often, so that was a good thing, I think, to experience. And I'm always grateful to anything that can make me just feel like comfortable, you know, or comforted, I guess, and that definitely did that. And I also love reading things in French. It makes me feel like such a baddie. I genuinely, like, I'm like, damn, like, je parle français. But yeah, it just makes me feel really, like, accomplished and like, wow, like, I'm fluent, je parle courant, like, I think I just said a completely wrong word. Anyways, hope y'all don't speak French. Okay, we're getting back into physical ones because I have these again. Next up is a book that genuinely I was like, damn. Okay. Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. This was the first James Baldwin book I ever read. I have read essays of his, and I've also read excerpts of books from his. That's how I knew I wanted to read this, and also what I really wanted to read was Giovanni's Room, but I could not find that anywhere for the longest time for some reason. I don't know, like, it was just genuinely evading me. But so I read this instead because I found this at a thrift store, and wow, like, I was just floored. Like, obviously, storyteller of a freaking generation, like, H. James motherfucking Baldwin, like, damn, but I don't know, this one was just so crazy. I saw so many, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm always gonna have to connect it to an interest I already have, but, like, girl, I was thinking about Ethel Cain while I was reading this. Like, I was thinking about Preacher's Daughter while I was reading this. Preacher's Son. Wait, low-key, I freaking see it. But yeah, what a crazy story. I can't remember their names, which makes me upset. Oh, here's some pages that I dog-eared. Damn, like, literally, I don't remember what exactly, I wish I had annotated this one, but I didn't. I don't remember what exactly I was referring to when I dog-eared this page, but, like, you can read anything. You can pick any random page, any random sentence, and it's gonna be, like, one of the most beautiful sentences you've ever read. Not even tonight, in the heart's nearly impenetrable secret place, where the truth is hidden and where only the truth can live, could she wish that she had not known him, or deny that, so long as he was there, the rejoicing of heaven could have meant nothing to her. That, being forced to choose between Richard and God, she could only, even with weeping, have turned away from God. It might be time for a reread. Damn. And this was why God had, oh, spoilers, just kidding. I won't read that part. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Yeah, genuinely, wow. I'm actually very glad that I started with this one instead of Giovanni's Room, because I feel like this one was a little bit more difficult to get into just at first than Giovanni's Room was, and it had more of a payoff, I think. Honestly, I don't know, I don't want to put them against each other, but I would maybe say that I like this one more than Giovanni's Room, which is really surprising to me, but I am glad that I read this one first, because I think if I had read Giovanni's Room first, then I would have been like, yes, that was a good book, and then I would have gone to read this one, and then it would have been a little bit slower, and I'd been like, oh, this isn't gonna be as good, and I wouldn't have gone into it with as much fervor, you know? But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful writing, amazing characters, just the way that Baldwin fleshes everything out, and, like, this is not a very long book, it's, like, actually pretty short, but he just, like, in such a short amount of words is able to make you feel, is able to make you have such a deep connection with his characters, and that has happened in every single book of his that I've read, but yeah, really, really good, really, really good. Okay, next up we have The Push by Ashley Audrain, which this is a very, like, general fiction, like, I don't know, it's not, I kind of just read this as a filler because I was kind of in between books when I read it, but I actually really, really, really enjoyed it, and I don't know why I'm making it sound like I'm very surprised that I did, because this is a very popular book and, like, it has gotten a lot of really good reviews, but I just wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't really expecting to like it as much as I did, but I really liked the flashbacks. I was a big, huge fan of the flashbacks, actually. I liked the present, or like, the present part of it as well. But the, like, when they were in college and, like, falling in love and stuff, I was like, I love the way this is written. Like, this is really, wow. But it's like a thriller, I guess, psychological thriller. Motherhood is scary, don't have kids, it's kind of freaky, that type of thing. Very good if you like engaging books and are like just want to like it's a page turner for sure. And so I think if you like more kind of like fast paced, like, yeah, this is like compulsively readable. I agree. I would agree with that. I finished it pretty quickly because I was just like, damn, okay, so what happens? So if you're looking for something quick and something interesting, and something not too heavy, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Moving on, next we have The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald, obviously. Read this for my English class last year, and it was a great time. We watched the movie after that. Love you, Tobey Maguire. And yeah, it was good. This is the second or third time I've read this. And second, I think, yeah, second. And I read it the first time when I was pretty young, and I did the same thing with Frankenstein, because I read Frankenstein the first time when I was 12, I think, and I did not fucking understand that shit at all, and I didn't realize that I didn't until I read it again when I was 15, and I was like, damn, okay, so like I didn't know what the fuck was happening. And I did the same thing with this. I read it pretty early on, I don't remember when, and I didn't get it, and I was bored and I didn't like it, but reading it again and having a little bit better reading comprehension, I was like, it's kind of interesting actually, like, what is going on? And also, the only other thing I'll say about this, because it's The Great Gatsby, I think it's been talked about enough. Nick Carraway, you are gay. Nick Carraway, you are gay. You are LGBT. And I hate to be the one to break it to you, but you are. And you wanted Jay Gatsby. And it was obvious to everyone involved. Keep that in mind. Okay. Anyways, next up, I feel like we have more that I'm skipping. They're like maybe non-physical ones. Oh, it's because they're poetry. Right, okay. Well, I'll get to those later. Anyways, okay, next up we have Democracy by Joan Didion, which this was the, I don't know. Ugh, look at her. What a diva. What a diva. Anyways, I actually don't know. I was gonna say this is the second or third fiction of hers that I read. I think that's wrong though. I honestly don't really know. But it is fiction. It's a little novel. And I did kind of read this because I thought it looked cool, and I thought I looked cool reading it, and that was my main motivation, low-key. But I ended up really, really enjoying it. Obviously, Joan Didion is also one of my favorite authors, along with Toni Morrison. And I think she's great, and I think that she's way smarter than me, and way smarter than a lot of authors that I have read before. And simultaneously reading her writing makes me feel dumb and smart, because I'm like, damn, like, you know what you're talking about, low-key. And you just know, you know how to write a novel and how to write something that is like, oh, okay, so you get the human condition. But it also does make me feel smart, because I'm like, yes, I see you, I see you. Do you? Do you really? But this is about like a political family in Hawaii, around like World War II, and it's pretty interesting. I kind of honestly don't really know what the plot was. I'm gonna level with you. I couldn't tell you what the plot was in this book. I know it was about a political family. I know the dialogue was really good. I know the characters were really good. I don't know what actually happened. But I had a great time, and I love Joan Didion. But we're gonna move on, because I feel like I sound dumb now. Sorry. Okay, next up we have Teaching a Stone to Talk by Annie Dillard. I love Annie Dillard, and I love her even more after reading this. I read Pilgrim at Tinker Creek when I was in 7th grade, 8th grade, I don't know. And that was the first book of hers I ever read. And then I read a bunch more like journal excerpts and stuff like that of hers. And this is also just a collection of excerpts, I guess. But I read this when I was snowed in, one for like a week and a half-ish last winter, and one of the entries in this, Aces and Eights, I read this and genuinely, like, this is one of the best, like, I don't know, man. I need to reread it because I feel like I maybe it's torn too much. But I read it and I closed the book and I was like, that was one of the best pieces of writing I ever read. Not the whole thing. I did very thoroughly enjoy it. I think I gave it 5 stars and I stand by that. Annie Dillard is an amazing author. But Aces and Eights in particular, like, I genuinely was like, wow, this is like one of the best things ever. And I don't know, I felt very understood by it. It's kind of about like the passing of time and how it just doesn't feel real. And like, hold on, I'm gonna read this part. You cannot kill time, I read once, without injuring eternity. Our setting the candles afloat down the river was this not a pretty thing to do? Why, when we were actually seeing the candles wobble down the river, did I think, this should be better? It seemed both to take too long and end too soon. As a memory, however, it already started looking good. Like, wow. Yeah, anyways. Aces and Eights, if you're not going to read the whole thing, maybe just look up Aces and Eights, Annie Dillard. Such an amazing essay. I think essay, I don't really know what it would be counted as. Entry, I don't know. Amazing. And one of my favorite pieces of her writing that I've ever read. Yeah. Annie Dillard archingly transcends all other writers of our day, R. Buckminster Fuller. I don't know if I would agree with that, but I do think that she's amazing, and I think that everybody should read at least like one of her. She's not for everybody. A lot of her writing is very slow, a lot of her writing is very contemplative, and she just likes to sit and think a lot. She's kind of like the hippy dippy Henry David Thoreau, if you think about it. But yeah, I love her, and I feel like reading her works makes me feel like I'm slowing down, which is a good thing, and like I mean it in a good way, because I don't know, it makes me just like, you know, and I feel more appreciative for life in general after I read what she's written. So definitely recommend. Definitely recommend Annie Dillard just in general, but particularly Aces and Eights. So we're in like spring-ish now. I think like maybe early March. Yeah, like early March. So next up we have Slaughterhouse-Five, Kurt Vonnegut. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. I have since come to love Kurt Vonnegut so incredibly much. He's an author that I had read pieces of. I had never read a full work of his. But I do remember in 7th grade I had to have like a composition book where I would write down like quotes and stuff. And there is one that I actually found where it was from later this year, or earlier last year, I guess. Later last year? I don't know. But it's just an excerpt of his, about going out and buying envelopes, and when I get to that one, I will read that out loud because, wow, Kurt Vonnegut, I need to know what you think about AI. Like, I rest in mother freaking peace, but please come back because I need to know, like, your thoughts on everything right now. Because I feel like he would I think he would know what to do. I think he would know what to do and how to feel and what to think. And yeah. Slaughterhouse-Five, Kurt Vonnegut, probably his most famous book. This one, low-key, it did, like, I read it and I was like, so I'm not gonna read anything else by him for a little bit because it did make me feel incredibly hopeless. I was like, damn, there is no point. But also it was winter, so it was cold and I couldn't go outside very much and it was dark. So that might have affected my perspective a little bit. But this is like a semi-autobiographical, but also really not, story about his experience in the war and then also just kind of like a bizarre twist on it. And a bizarre twist that he, I think, put on it to cope. But yeah, it's one of the best, like, pacifist pieces of literature I've ever read. And also, like, just a very good, like, call to be anti-war without just being, like, I don't know, he just gets straight to it. There's no working around it, and, like, I also, one thing that was very confusing to me was that whenever I would look it up, I would be like people would be like there was some, not everybody obviously, but there was a lot of people being like, this book is so weird, like it's so stupid, like why is it so violent? And it's like, Mama, the point is like, he doesn't want you guys to be violent. But yeah, very good anti-war, very good pacifist book, big fan, very funny, very sad also, but genuinely, Kurt Vonnegut was one of the wittiest people ever. I think maybe. Definitely one of the wittiest authors I've ever read, and I feel very grateful to be able to read his work, and I'm thankful to him to have written. Yeah, okay. Next up, we have Holy the Firm by Annie Dillard, which, it's coming pretty soon after teaching us some to talk. This is actually just one long, like, essay type thing, I think, and my Goodreads review of this, I remember it because I thought it was really funny at the time. Oh, my camera's gonna die. Hold on, I'm gonna plug this up real quick. Okay, my camera died, but I charged it up and I got a cup of tea, and now I'm back, and I don't remember what I was saying when I left off, so let me try and think about it. Hold on. While I'm thinking about it, you can look at my cool mug. Big fan. Okay. I actually do remember exactly what I was saying, because I was talking about Holy the Firm, and I was talking about my Goodreads review, because my Goodreads review, I read it on a Sunday afternoon at the park, and my Goodreads review was Sunday afternoon I'll read. Sunday afternoon I'll read, and I stand by that. And I thought it was really funny when I first wrote it, and I still think it's really funny now. And yeah, that's how I feel about it, and it's really good. I did like Teaching a Stone to Talk better, and I've liked other things written by Annie Dillard more, but I did think it was good, and also there wasn't a lot to go off of because it's a very, very short piece, so it's not like, there's not a lot of content there to judge or to feel one way or the other about, but I liked it, and I love Annie Dillard. Okay, next up we have Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I found it, baby. I don't remember where I found it at, actually. I want to say Goodwill, to be honest, but I don't remember for sure. I read this in May, I think. No, March. Yeah, it was still spring. It was still spring, and I loved it so much. It kind of broke my heart into a billion little pieces, and I want to read it again because I went in not knowing what it was about, and I'm glad that I did, because then I knew that I was gonna like it, but I didn't really have like expectations for the story so much. And I think I want to read it again and try to understand it more, because I think that there was a little bit of a disconnect between, like, you know, I don't know, but I think that if I read it again it would be like, it would, because it already was like, wow, oh wow, oh wow, and it was like my first time, like my first exposure to it, and I was like, damn. So I think that like second exposure I'd be like, damn, you know what I mean? That's just how I feel. But James Baldwin makes me feel so emotional just to think about him in general. I've seen so many pictures on my Pinterest this month particularly. I really don't know why, actually. But like old pictures of James Baldwin, and it just like, wow, oh wow, because he, you know, he experienced it. Like yeah. And I just think that he is so, like, I just think that he's so able to convey emotions I didn't know could be conveyed. Do you know what I mean? Like, James Baldwin made me realize that I felt things that I didn't know I felt. You know? And wow. I'm gonna read the back of this. Okay. Set in the 1950s Paris of American expatriates Set in the 1950s Paris of American expatriates, liaisons, and violence, a young man finds himself caught between desire and conventional morality. With his sharp, probing imagination, James Baldwin's now classic narrative delves into the mystery of loving and creates a moving, highly controversial story of death and passion that reveals the unspoken complexities of the human heart. Like, exactly, the unspoken complexities of the human heart, and he's just about that life. And I don't know, every picture I've seen of him, like, on Pinterest that I was talking about, like, he's just like cheesing so wide and just like has such a light in his eyes, and I'm like, how do you have both of that inside you? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I just love him so much. I, again, am very glad that I read Go Tell It on the Mountain first, because this one was so much easier for me to connect with that, I'm glad that I kind of had to do a little bit more work first with the Go Tell It on the Mountain. But yeah. Wow. I don't know, I feel like there's more that I should say about that, but I just can't think of anything right now other than there's one picture of James Baldwin that I am really, really thinking of right now, and he's with somebody and I can't remember who it is, but I saw it this month and I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. It was a singer, but I can't remember who. Nina Simone, I want to say. I think it was Nina Simone. Okay, we have a couple more non-physical ones to go through real quick. So I'm going to do that. If I can get back to my Goodreads because I signed out because I was on Pinterest. One thing about me, my camera dies and I have a little moment. I'm going to open Pinterest. Okay. Oops, wrong thing. Okay. So, we're still in spring right now and I have a summer opener that I'm going to do. So for the rest of spring, the non-physical ones that I read were On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which I borrowed from the library, by Ocean Vuong, and I loved. I had read the first like half of it before, but I read it at my grandparents' house, and it was just making me like too incredibly sad at the moment. So I had to put it down for a little bit, and then I checked it out again and read it finally this spring slash winter, and I really loved it. It was, I don't know, it's kind of bleak. It kind of just makes you like, oof. But you know, I think it's well worth it. I really want to read his new, I think it's a novel. It could be a poetry collection. I might be mistaken, but I think he wrote a novel. And I'm really wanting to read that. But yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Another like open letter type of thing from Ocean Vuong to his mother, which was kind of really heartbreaking. But yeah, again, I'm not really gonna go in like I don't know. There's not much else to say. I mean, there's definitely more to say, but it's another one of those things where it's like it's kind of a memoir, and I don't know. I don't want to go too far into it because it just feels like super personal. Even though obviously like it's a published book, but you know what I mean. I don't know. Okay. Next up, we have Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Genuinely one of the funniest books I've ever read. I don't care. Sorry, like. I know it's like whatever, like it's old man humor, it's dad humor, it's freaking like middle-aged man humor, but I found it hilarious and it made me laugh out loud, like actually crack up, and I like being able to do that, so I was a really big fan. I kind of really want to read the rest of the series, but sci-fi is not one of my favorite genres, and I don't even think I could really consider this sci-fi, like it's just a comedy. But it also was kind of like hopecore, you know what I mean? And I really want to watch the movie because I love Martin Freeman, and I think that he's really funny, and I just want to watch the movie and be like, you know, like look forward to cracking up, type. But yeah, okay. Next we have Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, which I loved that book. I wish I had read it slower. I read it really quick, and I feel like that made me not soak it up as much, but it's a big, long, expansive narrative over like 3 different generations, and I thought that that was really cool. I'm always a big fan of expansive narratives and books that go like decades long, but yeah, I did think it was really good. Again, I wish I had read it slower. I wish I had read my own copy instead of checking it out from the library so I could have annotated it and looked back on it, because it is one of those ones that I read it and I was like, wow, and now I'm kind of like, I remember the feeling of being like, wow, but I don't remember why it was, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that might be one I have to reread sometime soon, and maybe annotate and read it slower and soak it in more, and yeah, but it was good, definitely good. Okay. Next we have Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk, which I do actually own a physical copy of that somewhere. I think it's just up on my top shelf and I'm not trying to get up there. But it's a very short, like little like sci-fi, I guess, kind of, like supernatural, I guess, book. And it was not what I thought it was going to be about whatsoever. I thought it was about World War II. And I don't know why, but I really thought it was about World War II. But it was not. It was really cute. It was really good. It did not, like, I remember what it's about, I remember what happened, but I also remember it just being like, meh, you know, like, it was just kind of like, okay, you know, which is, that's fine. I love having a book like that, especially after reading Girl, Woman, Other, because that one was such a long one, and just kind of having, like, a lineup of a lot of, like, heavy books, kind of. It was a nice little, like, you know? So I do appreciate it for that. It was a little bit just like, I don't know, it was fine. It was fine. Yep, it was fine. I guess that's all I have to say about it. Okay, next, and this one is a big deal. This one, the next two actually, are, the next three, in fact, are big deals. Big deals. Okay. I'm gonna do them in order of big dealness to me. So first we're starting with Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, which I borrowed from my sister. Oh my god, absolutely fire. I am so excited for the movie. I cannot wait. I read it and I was like, oh my god, this is the best book ever. Suzanne Collins, you never miss. Like, this just goes right up with the Hunger Games and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I love it. After minor reflection, I was like, okay, maybe a teeny tiny little itty bitty bit of fan service. Maybe just a little bit. Like the whole like Lenora Dove being related to Lucy Gray. I was kind of like, I don't know. And then also just the way, okay, my freaking camera died again, so we're gonna have to do this again. And I did also kind of forget where I was again. But it's okay. We're gonna pick up wherever I think we were, which I think, oh, right, okay. I was in the middle of doing a bit, and I don't remember what the bit was, so I can't continue it, but I was talking about Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm very excited for the movie. I think I said all that I wanted to say about that. I love Hey Mitch, and I thought it was awesome. I did think it was, like, not quite up there with, I think that the original trilogy is like way up here, and then Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is just like a little bit lower, and this one was just like a little bit, teeny bit lower. So it's not quite there with the trilogy, and it's not quite there with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but it's up there. It's still really good. Okay, so next up we were doing like the three very important ones that are big deals. Next up we have Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. Genuinely, I did not have any like comprehensible thoughts about this book. I just was like, whoa, like freaking wow. Particularly the end, like the last like 40 pages, I was just like, I read them in class one day and I was like, and I just like, I need to reread that one for sure, because it made me feel, it was like one of those ones that I like, it kind of made me feel hopeless, but at the same time it kind of was like, you get what's going on, you know what I mean? Where it's like, there's a sense of hopelessness already there, and it kind of alleviates it by acknowledging it, you know? So I think that that was kind of what I felt while reading that. And I loved it, and I love gay people, and I thought it was awesome. Burp. Okay. The next one, Deep Breath. One Day by David Nichols. Nichols, I don't know how you say his last name. Bro, okay. I watched the show before I read the book, and I watched the show twice, I think, actually, before I read the book, in fact. I've now seen the show 4 times, and I don't regret a single minute of it. I love that show so much. I love the book so much. This is a piece of media that kind of makes me so sick, and just like, wow, I can't think about it on any given day. Like, but I do think about it all the time. I think about S&M so much. I genuinely love them so much. I feel like they're real people. Like, they're my grandparents, and I learned about their love story through their letters, through this book, through old videotapes. Like, I don't know. But I genuinely, like, wow. One Day, fun fact, was actually the first thing that I was like, I need to read fanfiction about this. I've never read, for some reason, I don't know. I know I, like, would be the type, and I know I would enjoy fanfiction, but I've never gotten into it. But, after finishing the book and then rewatching One Day for the 4th time, I was like, guys, I need to see more. I need to have more. So I went on AO3, searched up One Day fanfiction, and I read some, and it was amazing. And I said, thank you, Lord, for sending me this. It's amazing. I love X&M. And I'm gonna go ahead and read my Goodreads review for this because I don't feel like I can quite put it into words, how I feel about it, and just like, and also spoilers, but reading the book was a very okay, so I watched the show because I was like, yeah, this looks good, right? I haven't seen the movie with Anne Hathaway, actually, weirdly enough. I just moved my lamp, so if the light looks different, that's why. But I watched the show first, like I said, and I didn't know what happened. I didn't know the plot of it. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just thought it looked like a cute little show. So I was like, okay, I'll get into this. So I did. Whew. Whew. Okay, so I'm gonna read my Goodreads review. Again, spoilers. Okay. Me when getting older is real, me when wasted potential, me when lost time between best friends, me when reality, me when attracting things to tragedy because it could have been avoided, me when I had loved you every day that I knew and didn't say it last time. Don't come into my house talking about Lucy Dacus and One Day Parallels, Forever's a Feeling, One Day Parallels. Touch the motherfucking cameras. Okay. Me when then one day the motorcade covered in flower wreaths first in a big parade will come take one of us away, leaving the other play you read. Me when I pass you to meet future me, would you be here holding me now? Me when then Emma Morley, mind you, Emma motherfucking Mayhew dies and everything she thought or felt vanishes and is gone forever. Me when bye my love bye. Me when right person wrong time over and over and over again. Me when. I did write that in my chemistry class. Tears streaming down my face after having finished the book. Wow. Think about Forever is a Feeling, think about Lost Time for just a second, and think about Dex and M. If you haven't read it, read it. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Such a good, wow, so good. So freaking good. Jane Remover is freaking yapping back there on my CD player. I think it might be skipping. I can't tell, but phenomenal book, phenomenal show. I'm sure phenomenal movie. Who knows, I might watch that tomorrow, actually, because now I'm thinking about it, and I miss him. I miss Dex and M so bad. Come back to me. Emma Morley, come back to me. Please. Okay. That, I think, is the last of... Oh, one more. Okay, one more non-physical one, and that is The Age of Magical Overthinking by Amanda Montell, the same author of Cultish. That one... Ooh. Just watch me out for a second. The Age of Magical Overthinking, I did not like it as much as I liked Cultish. It was kind of more like autobiographical, which is fine, and I think that if I had gone into it expecting that, I would have been fine with it and enjoyed it more. But I kind of was going in like expecting Cultish 2.0, and it wasn't that. It was more just like, it kind of felt like I was reading a blog a little bit, which is okay, but it's just okay, you know? And I didn't feel like I learned as much from that one as I did from Cultish, or like I was as interested in it. But it was still good, and I think if I had gone in with little smaller, like lower expectations, I would have liked it more. But I didn't, so I didn't like it that much, but it was okay. Okay, now we are getting into summer reads. Okay, starting with, I am a big, like, I like to read books that feel like the season in the season. And this was definitely one of them. And, well, I thought it was going to be, actually. It wasn't quite. But I had been saving this one, and I have been saving this one for a while. I got this actually... Did I just spoil it? I hope not. But I got this actually, I think, like, fall of 2024. But I didn't read it because I was like, this is a summer read, and I need to read it in summer. So I've been holding on to it, and then in June, like the 1st of June, I was like, okay, time to get on this. Or it might have been like late May, but when it started getting hot, and I was like, it's summer. And that is Lie With Me by Philip Besson, which I thought it was going to be a summer read. I thought it was going to be like perfectly encapsulating, you know, like summer type shit. But it kind of really wasn't. And it was just actually really sad and really devastating. And actually really devastating. Like, I did not feel happy at all reading this. There was not a moment where I was like, this is a happy-go-lucky book. It's very good. It's very beautifully written. I think it's translated from Italian. I could be crazy. Yeah, it is. It's translated from Italian by Molly Ringwald, which I thought was really interesting. I did not know that she was a translator, and I did not know that she spoke Italian. But, you know, you learn something new. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a very beautiful book. I think it is very sad and not hopeful at all. But that's okay. Sometimes you're just not that, like, you're not in that mood. And that's okay. But, yeah, the Brokeback Mountain of it all, the Call Me By Your Name of it all. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Next up, we have... I feel like I didn't give that one enough time. But it's very good. It's just sad. And it just wasn't... I wanted it to be like, yay, summer! Like, little gay love story. That's sad as fuck. Okay. Anyways, next up, we have Green Frog by Gina Chung, which is a collection of short stories. And there were some in here that I was like, damn, like, that is really, really, really good. And then there was some that I was like, that's okay, but I think I gave it like solidly like 4 stars because there was a couple that I was like, But for the most part, they were really good. And I love short stories. I'm such a big fan of short stories as a way of storytelling. And I think more people need to write short stories so I can read more short stories. And I actually have a... Sorry, I just looked into my CD. I made a CD while I was waiting on my freaking camera charge. But anyways, I have a collection that I've been wanting to read. It's a sci-fi, like science fiction, literally what sci-fi means. But it's a sci-fi collection. I cannot remember who it's by right now. I'm trying to find it on my shelf, but I can't see it. It's called The Greatest Hits, though. I know that, but I don't remember who it's by. But I'm excited to read that because I love short stories. And this was a good collection. I really like the cover of it also. That's why I got it. Yeah, really good. Okay, next up, I feel like I am definitely missing some, so I'm gonna check my Goodreads in a second, but I'll go ahead and do this one. Next up we have Blue Nights by Joan Didion. Like I said before, absolutely adore Joan Didion. This book made me so incredibly sad. It is, the first book that Didion published after losing not only her husband but also her daughter, and it is just like, it's tough. And I, again, didn't really know what this was going into it. I knew it was kind of like autobiographical, and I knew it was about her daughter, but I actually did not know that her daughter had passed away when I started reading this. And yeah, it's a very tough read. I do definitely think it's worth it, and I just think that reading this when I did was a very good decision for me, because I think that, I don't know, I think it like has something that I will definitely need later on in life that I'm glad to have and to be able to kind of like sit on and think about for a while until I actually do need it. You know what I mean? Like I think I'll take the lesson from this book, and I don't need it now because I'm lucky enough to not have lost anybody very close to me in my life before. But I will probably need it at some point in life. And I think that it's good to kind of have this in my corner and to have writing like this in my corner. And it made me think of that one quote by Richard Siken about like preemptive grief. And it's the one where, I can't remember how it goes exactly, but you like, he's like sliding down the wall, and then all I can see is like the crack in the floorboard. And I'm really butchering that, so sorry, Richard Siken, because I love you and I think your writing is amazing, and I didn't mean to just really misquote you really bad. But if you know what I'm talking about, that one. And that's kind of how I felt reading this. And I also, I read this in like very early summer again, and it, like the Blue Nights, like the entire aspect of that, and like dusk, I was reading that, like those descriptions a lot of the time when I'm gonna go turn the CD down. It's like way overstimulating me. Hold on.
That actually, like, I felt crazy for a second.
But I was reading that while a lot of that, she was describing the setting that I was in, which felt very like, I don't know, it felt kind of like an out-of-body experience, and I was like, oof, this is weird. Because, I mean, this was written in, I think, 2012, I could be very wrong on that, but, and it was just like, wow, like, people experience things, and then I experience them also, you know what I mean? But very, very good, very sad. I just love Joan Didion. And speaking of which, we have another Joan Didion, which is the next one, and this is Slouching Towards Bethlehem. This is a collection of essays from her, which I actually borrowed my friend's copy of this, and then I spilled something on it. I don't remember what it was. And then I ordered this from Thrift Books because I was like, I'm just gonna give her a new copy. And she had a specific copy, and I was like, I'm gonna get the same one. And this is just like a random story for no reason, but, so I ordered the same one, and then this one came in, and this one does not look as cool as her copy. And I was like,
okay, so sorry, but I have this one and I spilled stuff all over it, and then I also have this one, it's kind of ugly.
Which this one isn't even bad, but it's just like not like, you know. Anyways, this, I'm definitely missing some because I didn't read these back to back, but, in fact, I think I read this one before Blue Nights, if I'm not wrong. But I have said this already, probably like 3 or 4 times in this video alone, but, I love Joan Didion, and I think she's amazing. And there were some essays in here that did feel like it was kind of dragging on, but mostly because I didn't have context for what she was talking about. Because a lot of them are about events that were current in the 70s but are not current now. And also places that I don't know about. Like she talked a lot about a lot of different places in California. And it just seemed very like you had to be there, and like if you get it, you get it, and I didn't get it, and I was like, you know what, I'm still gonna read it, and I still love you, and I think it's awesome. I don't know what you're talking about though, but you know, that's okay, and that happens sometimes. But there's literally like, it's in sections, and one of the sections is Lifestyles in the Golden Land, which is just about California. And Mama, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't even lie to you. I don't know what's going on most of the time. But that's a lie. There was only a few where I was like, you're losing me a little bit. But I, again, like with Teaching to Study Talk, there were some essays in here and some like parts of it that I was like, this is genuinely like, this could have been the most shit from a butt book, which it wasn't, but this could have been the most shit from a butt book. And if it had just had these like couple essays in it, it would have been so well worth it, just for these. And that was the three that I was particularly like, wow, was On Keeping a Notebook, On Self-Respect, and then Goodbye to All That. And so again, if you haven't really gotten into Joan Didion before, and you don't want to read like a whole book maybe by her before you know if you like her style or not, I would suggest those three essays. There is I think actually a YouTube video of her reading On Keeping a Notebook out loud, which is genuinely, I watched that and it felt really crazy, and I felt like, wow, this is like what life is all about. And I quoted that in like like 3 different scholarship essays, I think, because it's just that good, and she just gets it. She knows what's going on. And yeah, so definitely suggest Slouching Towards Bethlehem, particularly those 3 essays. The rest of them are also very good. I just am obsessed with those 3, especially On Keeping a Notebook, like genuinely. Yeah. Oh, I also just was on Pinterest again while I was waiting on my camera to charge, and I saw somebody get tattoos of these, like, designs, I guess, I don't know. And I think that's a really cool idea, and I probably will scale it, because, sorry. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. And then I'm gonna check my goodies real quick, because I do definitely feel like I missed them. It's also 11:30 and I really am tired, but I'm doing this for you guys, so you're freaking welcome. And I also am doing this because I know if I don't finish this tonight, I will not record this ever again. So yeah. Okay, I missed 3. Okay, so the 3 non-physical ones we have real quick are Call Me By Your Name, Andre Ackerman, I don't know how you say his last name, which obviously, Call Me By Your Name, pretty well known. But I also borrowed that from Fiona, and I borrowed her annotated copy, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I do know for a fact that I was not expecting him to talk about feet that much, because there was a lot of feet talk, and so much so that Fiona, when she was annotating it, made like a foot mention count, which kind of made me laugh, and also I was kind of like, hey, maybe just stop talking about them. Like, we can talk about other things, you know? But I did think it was very beautifully written, and I kind of actually wish that that is the book I had read, like, to be, like, the start of summer instead of Lie With Me, because it was a lot more summery. Honestly, not that much more not sad, but very summery, so that's good at least. But, yeah, very sad. I love the movie. I love Elio, even though he's a kind of a freak, low-key, like, the book especially. Elio in the book is a freak, straight up, but he's also really real. And yeah, it does also kind of make me sick and make me feel very grossed out, and I really also, if I were Armie Hammer, I personally would not have taken that role, because, Armie Hammer just grosses me out now. I can't look at him without just, like, a shiver down my spine, you know what I mean? But it's a beautiful movie, beautiful book, and beautiful, hashtag Timothy Chalamet is everywhere. But, yeah, I don't know, I don't probably have much else to say that hasn't been said about Call Me By Your Name. I do just wish I was born in Italy, truly, like, so bad. Why wasn't I? I watched Luca last night, and it actually pisses me off that I wasn't born in Italy. And that's the only 2 things that I know about Italian culture, and that's all I'm going based off of, and I stand by that. Okay, so the next one is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote? I don't know. Which I read that book, I think it took me a long time to get through it because it's a pretty long book. And it also just was so, like, I don't know what the message was. I don't know what I was supposed to, like, get from that book. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was very, like, I was engaged the entire time I was reading it. Like, I thought it was interesting. I liked the characters. I liked the plot. I liked the dialogue. But what was the moral of the story? Genuinely. I don't know what it was, and you would think that it's probably, like, don't kill people, that's bad, but low-key it wasn't that. I don't know. But definitely, like, if you like true crime or into, like, not even mystery, but just, like, yeah, just true crime, I guess, I think you would probably like that one because it is just straight up, like, there's no mystery, it's no, like, whodunit, it's just, like, these guys killed these people, and we don't really know why, but they did it, and there is no why, they just did it, and it's just, like, I don't know, it was very interesting, and I guess that's kind of the point, it's just, like, sometimes you just don't know. I don't know, it was good, though. Anyways, next up we have another Toni Morrison, which I checked out from the library, and I need my own copy of this, and I'm so disappointed that I don't have one, because this was probably top 3 Toni Morrison books, but that is Sula, and golly gee, I freaking love this book so much, and it also felt like I don't know, and I don't have, like, I cannot conjure up a single, like, actual real thing to say about this right now, but, just genuinely read freaking Toni Morrison. My Goodreads review for this was, a quote from the, like, almost very end of it, and it's kind of spoiled, but not really, because it doesn't make sense if you don't have context, but, it's, "We was girls together," she said, as though explaining something, and I said, Toni Morrison, you get it, because wow, wow, wow. And that quote, like, reading that after what had happened, and I'm trying not to spoil it, but, like, damn. She knows how to wrap up a story, truly, like, whew. And I do feel like that happens in almost all of her books, that the last, like, 20 pages, it's, like, everything hits you all at once, and it's, like, just, like, gut punch after gut punch. And this one was no different. It felt like Toni Morrison herself was, like, kick me. Anyways, okay, next up we have some more physical ones that I have. So then we have Summer Crossings, also by Truman Capote, and this book is so freaking, like, waterlogged and just, like, butt freaking, like, it's got sand all in it. I read this at the beach in June? July? I don't even know. But I read this at the beach, and I read this after reading In Cold Blood. I don't know where the hell he got In Cold Blood from. This was not anything like that. Like, it seems like two different, like, completely different people wrote that, wrote these books. Because, like, In Cold Blood was, like, gruesome, like, a family was murdered, and, like, blah, 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 and her head was strung from the rafters, and, like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this is a romance. This is a cute little, like, romance. And there's a little bit more to it, but honestly not really. It's just like a forbidden love romance. And it's just, you know, that's okay. And this says, a great breezy read with Capote's trademark, I have to pronounce his name differently every time. With Capote's trademark wit, oh, well, I guess yeah, both were witty. Am I making any sense? I don't know. But yeah, I don't really know where he got that from. But both are good. I mean, this one is okay. It's good. It's just not what I was thinking it was going to be. And it's not as good as In Cold Blood. Sorry. There's actually a really interesting foreword and afterword in this book about Truman Capote. And it makes me want to learn more about him as a person because he seems interesting. And it's very interesting to me that because he doesn't have a lot of published works, I don't think, but it's very interesting to me that, like, this is one and then In Cold Blood is another, because it's like, what happened to you, bud? But both good, just one maybe a little bit more good than the other. Okay, next up we have These Precious Days by Ann Patchett, which is also a collection of essays. And for some reason, while I was reading this, I was like, I don't like this, and then after reading this, I was like, I didn't like this. And then I thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, girl, you were, like, tears streaming down your face crying reading some of these, and you also, like, read some of them out loud, and were, like, you were getting into it and you did enjoy them and you thought it was good. Why are you hating? And I think it's only because there were just like a few, particularly in the beginning, that I didn't really like. So I kind of like had a tone of like, this is annoying the whole time, which is unfortunate because while not all of them were like great and some of them were kind of just like okay, a lot of them were very good, and I feel like I did it kind of a disservice by counting all of those out just because of a few that I wasn't the biggest fan of. But yeah, I would say if you're gonna read Anne Patchett, this is not a good place to start because it kind of does make her seem very annoying. I would start with The Dutch House because I just like that book. But I don't know, her voice in some of them was like, ugh. But definitely there are. I'm trying to think of what they were called in here. Is there a table of contents? Yes, there is. Okay, so I think the first like 7 are just kind of meh. But then There Are No Children Here, The Nightstand, Sisters, These Precious Days, and then Epilogue, A Day at the Beach, I think we're all very, very good. And I feel bad that I like, because I was kind of really dissing on this actually, but it's good. It's good. Some of them are much better than others, but it's good. And she's an objectively good writer. I just like was getting frustrated. And I think honestly part of it was jealousy because she's just like an established writer. And so she can kind of just like do what she wants. So I was just like, okay, and who cares? So I'm just a hater, low key. Okay, next up we have Jazz by Toni Morrison. Holy shit, I love this fucking book so much. This is probably my favorite Toni Morrison book. Maybe tied, maybe second, I don't know. It's way up there though. Definitely one of my favorite books in general. Just like, wow. And like, I got my copy of this at a Blackberry Market in Little Rock that I went to with my friends in June. And it was so fun. And I think these are out of order maybe because this timeline is not making sense. I'm trying to think back on like events that happened and I'm like, what? Oh, I guess I probably read it later. Okay, that actually does make sense. But yeah, so I got this at a Blackberry Market in June and that was just such a perfect day and I just have very good memories associated with this because like I would go outside and at my new house and read it in my yard and it was like sweltering hot and that's just very fitting for this book. And yeah, it's really interesting. It's just like Toni Morrison's characters feel so freaking real. Like it's genuinely like I feel like I am just reading about a real person's life and things that actually happened to them and I'm just getting to know new people. And they don't even feel like characters, it just feels like people. And I think that that's just a really insane thing to be able to do. And I love how song like all of her writing is. Like it just all goes together and it has a rhythm and it has like, I don't even know, man. Like I can't do her justice. But genuinely, like, oh yeah. Like the music of its title, it is a dazzlingly lyric play on elemental themes, as soaring and daring as a Charlie Parker solo, as heartbreakingly powerful as the blues. It is Pulitzer Prize winning novelist Toni Morrison at her best. And I genuinely think, yeah. Like, yeah. And it's just like, it's all about passion and it's all about different kinds of passion and just like how different people express that passion in a way, if you think about it. And I love her and I love this book and I want to be able to write just like her, but also not just like her because I want to write like myself. But if I could write like any author, it would probably be Toni Morrison because like, goddamn, like she just, wow. Jazz, Toni Morrison, oof. It's like, watching it. But Jazz by Toni Morrison, great book. Definitely you should freaking read it. So good. Okay, next up. From the Land of the Moon by Melina August. I read a lot of books about Italy, I guess. This one was translated from Italian as well, and I found this at we have this big like warehouse bookstore in my town that is just a warehouse, and they have like big bins full of books. and I found this there, and I don't normally find a lot of great books there just because I don't really feel like digging through the bins sometimes. Well, that's a lie. I find good books there, but it's just like whenever I feel like it. But this one was right on top of a pile one day, and I got it because I liked the cover. And whoever said don't judge a book by the cover was so freaking wrong, because like I do that all the time, and it normally works. But yeah, very good, very short little story. Just like, I don't know, it was just very, it made me feel like I need to read more books not by American authors, because it was just kind of like, the story itself wasn't that groundbreaking, but it just kind of was like, wow, like, things be happening in Italy. But no, I don't know, it was just very interesting, and it kind of read like a fairy tale a little bit, just in the way that it felt like somebody was telling me the story, you know, like I didn't feel like I was reading it, it felt like a story, which I mean that in a good way. But yeah, just a nice little read. Good, very good. Yeah, okay. Next up we have Brokeback Mountain by Annie Proulx. I don't know how you say her last name. Damn. I hadn't seen the movie when I read this, actually, and then I watched the movie afterwards, but, wow. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna do a bit of a reading, a bit of a reenactment, if you will. Okay. Try this one, said Jack, and I'll say it just one time. Tell you what, we could have had a good life together, a fucking real good life. You wouldn't do it, Innis. So what we got now is Brokeback Mountain. Everything built on that. It's all we got, boy. Fucking all. So I hope you know that if you don't ever know the rest. So I hope you know that if you don't ever know the rest. God, the damn few times we've been together in 20 years. Measure the fucking short leash you keep me on and ask me about Mexico and tell me you'll kill me for needing it and not hardly ever getting it. You got no fucking idea how bad it gets. I'm not you. I can't make it on a couple high altitude fucks once or twice a year. You're too much for me, Innis. You son of a whore son bitch. You son of a whore son bitch. Wow. Walk in. I wish I knew how to quit you. Sorry. Oh my god. Jeez. What Jack remembered and craved in a way he could neither help nor understand was the time that distant summer on Brokeback when Innis had come up behind him and pulled him close, a silent embrace satisfying some shared and sexless hunger. They had stood that way for a long time in front of the fire, its burning, tossing, ruddy chunks of light, the shadow of their bodies a single column against the rock. Oh. Time to hit the hay, cowboy, I gotta go. Come on, you're sleeping on your feet like a horse. And gave Jack a shake, a push, and went off in the darkness. Later, the dozy embrace solidified in his memory as a single moment of artless, charmed happiness in their separate and difficult lives. Nothing marred it, even the knowledge that Innis would not then embrace him face to face because he did not want to see nor feel that it was Jack he held. And maybe, he thought, they'd never got much farther than that. Let be, let be.
What the fuck?
Okay. I can't. That's all for this one. I'm done talking about that, actually. That shit fucks me up. Whew! Let me lock in for these next ones because I can't be caught like that again. Okay. Next up we have, I'm gonna do three that I don't I'm gonna do three that I don't physically have. Okay, so the first one is The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, which is either one long essay or like two like short broken up essays. I don't remember if it's just one or two. But I don't have this right now because I lent it to my sister. But wow. And I, like, every time I read more of James Baldwin, I am like, I can't wait to have read everything that he's ever written. You know what I mean? Damn. Okay. Anyways, Geese is just honking back there. Okay. I'm gonna read my Goodreads review. It's just a quote from the book, or from the essay, I guess. But he said, "Behind what we think of as a Russian menace lies what we do not wish to face. The reality that life is tragic. Life is tragic simply because the earth turns and the sun inexorably rises and sets, and one day, for each of us, the sun will go down for the last time. Perhaps the whole root of our trouble, the human trouble, is that we will sacrifice all the beauty of our own lives, we'll imprison ourselves in totems, taboos, crosses, blood sacrifices, steeples, mosques, races, armies, flags, nations, in order to deny the fact of death, which is the only fact we have. One ought to rejoice in the fact of death. One is responsible to life. It is the small beacon from which we come and to which we shall return. Y'all hear that? My life changed. Like, and I mean, I said that like a joke, but honestly, I literally was, it was June, I think, or July at this point, and I was sitting and eating a bowl of cereal, and I was reading that, and I said, hello? It is the beacon from which we come and from to which we shall return. We have a responsibility to life. Yeah. So, definitely, that's a good essay to read. Whoa, why did it do that? That's, yeah, very, very good essay to read. Also very short, so it's, again, another thing that if you're, like, not, like, sure if you would like Baldwin or whatever, then you could read that, and it's very short, very easy to get into. And, yeah, good place to start if you want to. Oh, I have more non-physical ones. Okay, next is Brutes by Diz Tate, which I have mixed feelings about it, because I feel like there was a story, kind of, but I don't feel like that was the important part of it. You know what I mean? Like, there was a bit of a lack of plot. Like, there was some plot there, I think. I don't really know. But, I didn't feel like that was the part you were supposed to be paying attention to. Like, it didn't feel like the plot actually had to do with the book. You know what I mean? I think the book was just supposed to be about the characters and how they interacted with each other and their own, like, internal things. But the quote that I, like, put on my review was, we squashed our faces against the glass of our own lives. Is this it? We asked. Are we having fun like they have fun? Are we in love like they are in love? And I really, really liked that quote, and I really liked that whole segment. I didn't put the whole, like, paragraph on there, but the entire paragraph attached to that. I was just a big fan of that because there is one picture that I'm going to describe because I don't know how else to tell you about it. But it's a drawing, and it's like 3 greyhounds in a yard, and they're like chasing each other's tails, and then there's a fence, and then there's a greyhound like watching from the, like, behind the fence, and you can see him, and I don't know if they're greyhounds or just dogs. I don't know why I said greyhounds, but yeah. And then there are words that go with the picture, but I can't remember what the words are right now. But yeah, it just really made me think of that one picture, and I saw that picture when I was like 14, and something, like, in my brain, like, it clicked, you know? So any reminder of that, I'm just kind of like, you get it, you get it, you get it, you get it. But yeah, and I also just like weird books about weird girls, and also weird girls, but just, like, they're just kind of mean. They're kind of mean, they're kind of weird, and they kind of are stinky and dirty and gross. And I think that's awesome, and I think we should write more books like that, and every girl should be allowed to be weird, mean, stinky, and gross, and get into that. The next one is Antigone by, well, I don't fucking know, actually. Sophocles. It's a play. It's an ancient Greek play. But it's a tragedy, for sure. I read this from my English class. And I liked it. I think that the experience was marred somewhat by the fact that I read it in English class, and also by the fact that we watched a production of it that was, like, set in the 20s and was just kind of bad balls, and not very well done, and it kind of, like, really PMO'd and made me not want to read it anymore. But yeah, I like a good tragedy, and it was definitely that, and it did make me feel smart reading it, so I guess that's good. But yeah, it was okay. It was for school, and I'm moving on now because I want to. Okay, next up is Sabrina and Corina by Kelly Fajardo Unseen, and this is a collection of short stories again, and I really, really loved all of these. I don't think there was one that I was like, you know, like, there was some that I liked more than others, but all of them were just like, yeah, like, that's good, you know? And I just love short stories, like I said, and I'm very glad that I picked this one up because I had actually never heard of it before, and then I saw it and it was like $1 and I was like, okay, I'll get it. And I'm very glad that I did, because it, I don't know, it just like, it felt different than other short story collections I've read before, and like it felt like they were their own individual stories, but they all like were connected in a way, you know, and I really, really liked that. Like it almost kind of felt like an anthology, even though it's not, but it kind of felt like that. But yeah, very, very good. Definitely would recommend, especially if you're a fan of short stories. Okay, next we have Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. And this I read when I was going through a bout of unknown sickness. I still don't know what it was, but I just was sick. I did not leave my house. I felt like absolute doo-doo poo-poo. And I went to the doctor like so many times, and I don't go to the doctor very often because I'm very healthy, luckily, but I went to the doctor probably more in that like 2-week time period than I have probably in the past like 5 years combined, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so this was a bit of a, like, I started reading it before I got sick, and then we just like kept reading it, and it was a little bit scary, and I do like, I turned into a bit of a hypochondriac, and I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, this is it for me. And then I didn't, and I got better, and it was fine. But this was still a very good book, and definitely would recommend. It is kind of like, you're gonna, you know, feel like, oh shit, you know? I think it's good. I think it would also particularly be good if you are dealing with chronic illness, or if you know somebody dealing with chronic illness, because it kind of, you know, like, it's realistic, but it's not dismal, and it doesn't just, like, beat you down. It's kind of just, like, it's very factual. It just lays out the facts, and it lays out the, like, this is how it is, and then it offers a lot of hope also, I think, and I think that that's a very good thing. But yeah, it's kind of scary. It's kind of a tough read in general, just because, like, you know, thinking about mortality isn't always the most fun thing ever, but very informative. The author, I think, has written other books that I do want to read, because he just laid things out in a way that, like, it should be scary, and it was scary in a way, but it also was like, what can you do? You know, like, you can't. And yeah, definitely would recommend to anybody, but also particularly if you're, you know, going through any kind of sickness in your life. Okay, which, not to say that my sickness was serious whatsoever, it wasn't, thankfully, but yeah, I just think it would be good if you were. Okay, next up we have 1984 by George Orwell, 1984 by George Orwell, which is another one that I read when I was younger and did not know what was going on and just pretended that I did. And you know what? I stand by little me. I stand by like 12-year-old me, just like reading shit and being like, yeah, I get that. Like, I get it. When I definitely didn't. But I love this book, and the first time I read it, I didn't like it, because A, I didn't know what was going on, B, I thought it was boring, C, my sister told me that she, like, when I read it, she was like, why are you reading that? And I was like, I don't know, because I want to, and she was like, that's sexist, and I was like, you're so right, it is sexist, which low-key, she is so right. Like, I do know where she's coming from, but reading it again, and I was like, low-key, like, it's not even that sexist. I don't know, I kind of, we actually got into a big argument about this, but, like, I do see what she meant, but I don't think that was the point. And I didn't think it was sexist, and I was very interested, and I ate it up. And then I also was like, damn, like, I need to read more like sci-fi-ish books, because I also, like, obviously Brave New World and 1984 are like kind of grouped together a lot, but I love Brave New World, and I thought Brave New World was great, and I think it's dystopian, honestly. I don't think it's sci-fi. I think it's dystopian that I like. Even though it's very scary. And it's very scary to read these kinds of books and be like, okay. Not even in a way that's like, the end is near, but just in a way where it's like, so, do we see the similarities? Are we seeing, you know, how this could potentially be bad? And yeah, I don't want to get too conspiracy theory, whatever, like fucking prepper or whatever, even though I do think that preppers are actually very smart, and we should get on that. And this is a crazy, like, time to be like these are my takes. I think that prepping is good and the apocalypse is near. But, yeah. I don't know. Good book. Obviously, it's 1984, like, what? But, I actually really liked it. I very much enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was, like, attention grabbing, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was very well written. But, and I went in not wanting to like it, which I think is why I am, like, trying to, like, I'm, like, tooting his horn a lot. Okay. Next up, we have No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. I hated this fucking book so much. And I got this a long time ago. I got it new from Barnes & Noble in, like, 2021, I think. Whenever it was, like, people were like, this book is so good. And I was like, okay. And then I saved it to read for a time where I was like, yeah, this is gonna be, like, the time to read this. And I thought that was this fall for some reason. I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit. And I think that that's kind of the point. I mean, I hope it's kind of the point, but I thought the main character was actually insufferable. I fucking hated him. I thought he was so annoying. And he made me so mad. Like, almost, I annotated this because I genuinely, like, went into this thinking, like, oh, this is going to be that kind of book where I, like, it's one of my favorites and I love it and, like, blah, 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 blah. No, it was not. But I annotated it and almost all my annotations are just, like, this guy is so annoying. I'm also, okay, reading, like, my annotations, I'm like, genuinely, what were you talking about? But, I mean, it probably made sense at the time, but this is, I just said getting very much Leland Palmer. Right, okay, that doesn't, what? Okay, but, yeah, on this page I said, man-child, so don't spend your money, get a freaking job, maybe. Ugh, he's annoying me. And then I said, let me calm down. Because I really, like... I'm going to read this part. Unable to suppress such reactions of annoyance, I escaped, but it gave me no pleasure. I decided to kill myself. I said, sorry, but I laughed. Because I did! Because literally... He just annoys me so bad. Oh, I was trying to... Bro. TSPMO. Yeah, so basically I really did not like, I can't remember his name. Yozo. I fucking hated Yozo. And maybe that was the point. I don't know. I was so annoyed and frustrated by the time I finished it. I didn't give it any, like, deeper thought, to be honest with you. So don't fucking be like, oh, she didn't get it, la la. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I don't want to because he annoyed me and I thought he was a big freaking baby. Sorry. Yeah. That's all I have. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Can he actually sit down? So I had very insightful and important thoughts about this book. I'm moving on because he really actually annoyed me so bad. Okay. Next we have Beloved by Toni Morrison. Golly gee. Can we talk about Toni Morrison anymore? Yes, we can, because I love her and I love this book. And this one was particularly, I think this and Jazz are probably tied for my favorite Toni Morrison book because, wow, oh wow. And then this is also apparently the second in a series of hers. No. Oh, Jazz is the second in the Beloved trilogy, which I read Jazz before I read this because I did not know that that was true. And I also don't see the connection, probably because I read Jazz first. But, yeah. My review of this is a quote from near the end, and I'm going to read it. So maybe spoilers, kind of not. It doesn't really make sense, but he wants to put his story next to hers. Seth, he says, me and you, we got more yesterday than anybody. We need some kind of tomorrow. He leans over and takes her hand. With the other, he touches her face. You, your best thing, Seth. You are. His holding fingers are holding hers. Me? Me? Like, it doesn't make sense out of context, but that paragraph shook me to my core. And the entire ending of it shook me to my core. Actually, I think this was, I don't know, I read Jazz and I was like, this is, like, definitely my favorite. And then I read this one and I was like, I guess I don't really have to pick, because nobody's making me, but I feel like I do, and I think if I really had to, I would probably say Beloved. I don't know. This one is just so fucking good. And yeah, definitely. Please read Toni Morrison. Please. Please. So freaking good. Okay. Anyways, next. I feel like I am not talking about, I feel like I talked about the first like half of these like way more than I am talking about the rest of them, but that's because it's midnight and I'm like very sleepy and I want to go to bed. But I'm gonna finish this, you guys. My camera is also about to die again. I swear to fucking God, if it does, I'm gonna be so mad. Okay. Next up we have Beowulf, by Unknown. I read that for English class. Kind of really boring, but that's okay, because history, I'm not talking about that anymore because I don't really care. And now I'm moving on, because I didn't like it that much, and also, why did they make Grendel, or fucking Beowulf, have sex with Grendel's mom in the movie? What was that about? I don't know. I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan. I thought it was very weird. Speaking of very weird, not a fan, didn't like it. This is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Quentin Tarantino, and it is the worst book I've ever read in my life. Genuinely, I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen a single Quentin Tarantino movie, actually, and I don't care. He kind of really sucks, and this book was so bad. Like, it is the most poorly written book I have ever read, and genuinely, I cannot stress this enough. On almost every page, there is a mention of bare feet. And I hated it. I hated it so much. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. And it's just, I can't. Like, I can't. I didn't know a book could be this bad and be published. And I also went on Goodreads after I, like, finished this and was like, surely people are, like, being so mean in the reviews because they deserve to be mean. No, there are 5-star reviews for this book. There are people who are like, this is the best book I've ever read in my life. Get off of Quentin Tarantino's BNR, bro. Like, we gotta cut this out. This is the worst writing I've ever seen. Like, it's genuinely so bad. I'm gonna try to find, hold on, I'm gonna flip to a random page and there's gonna be a mention of feet. Okay, never mind. I don't care. I'm done with this one. I can't find a mention of feet, but I'm also skimming. But they're there. Trust and believe they're there. And it's just so, like, it is genuinely one of the most, like, misogynistic, like, self-insert man fucking, like, it's just fan fiction for Quentin Tarantino. It's not even fan fiction, it's just like his fucking diary. I don't know. He pisses me off. Also, he looks weird. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm turning into such a hater. I went into this video being like, I'm gonna, like, just, like, talk about books I like, blah, 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 and I'm like, I hate Quentin Tarantino. But I kind of low-key do. And that's such a quick judgment to make, only having this exposure to him, but I feel like that's enough. I hated it. Like, it made me mad. It made me so incredibly mad. I have never given a book 1 star on Goodreads except for that one. Like, I could not fucking stand it. It sucked really bad. Okay. Boy, if my camera okay. My camera died again. Hopefully this is the last time it does that before I finish this. Okay, next up, I think, yes. Okay, next up we have The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This was the second time I read this book. I read it first when I'm actually just gonna read my Goodreads review on this one because I feel like I yapped a lot in that, and I'm just gonna go through that. Okay, well, hold on. I first read this when I was around 13 years old, and I absolutely hated it. To me, Holden was annoying and immature. I was bored because there wasn't much of a plot, and I thought it was so overrated. Now I'm 17, 18, and between one phase of life and another, which I think is probably the best possible time to ever read this. Holden Caulfield, you are me and I am you. He was Charlie Cumecus before Charlie Cumecus existed. He was Lady Bird before Lady Bird existed. He was Todd Anderson before Todd Anderson existed. It's been a minute since I've been as affected as anything... It's been a minute since I've been as affected by anything as I was by this book, by Holden's intense loneliness, by all of his failures and shortcomings. There'll always be too much to hold on to, too many players to catch. He's just 16 going on 17, trying not to be shitty, trying not to be sad. Holden Caulfield, you get it. Well, yes. And then 2 quotes from this that I swear to God, if my camera does eat, I'm actually going to freak out. But 2 quotes from this that I read and was like, oh my God, are these 2. Okay. You know what I like to be? I mean, if I had my goddamn choice. I keep picturing these little kids playing some game in this big field of Rheinall. Thousands of little kids, and nobody's around except me, and I'm standing on the edge of some crazy cliff. What? What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. I mean, if they're running and they don't look where they're going, I have to come out from somewhere and catch them. That's all I do all day. I just be the catcher in the Rheinall. I know it's crazy, but that's the only thing I'd really like to be. I know it's crazy. And then I'm actually not going to read the second one because I feel like I am running out of time on my camera's battery. But I love this book now, and I feel like such a freaking, like, hater poser because I genuinely, like, ranted and raved about how bad this book was when I first read it. Like, I would talk to my mom about it, and I was like, why is this freaking popular? Like, it's not even good. Like, well, you're just not there yet. You're just not at that point in life yet. And I am definitely at that point in life now. And I think that's very, very, like, something I look forward to with reading is coming back to those books that, like, I felt that way about, or any certain way about later in life, and seeing what's changed and what's the same, and, you know, if things happened how I expected them to happen, or if I feel the way I expected to feel about it all, and all of those things. And definitely, like, I've seen a lot of people have that same opinion of, like, it's overrated or Holden is annoying and blah, 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 blah. And I do definitely see where they're coming from, but I think I just read it at the perfect time, and I think I just was feeling the perfect way also when I read it. So it really, really, like, whew. And also there really needs to be a film adaptation of The Catcher in the Rye, and I need to be the one to make it, so Hollywood, let's get on that. Okay, next I read Franny and Zoe by J.D. Salinger. Which, this one was really, really good. It was one of those scenarios where you read something that's, like, so crazy good, and then you go to something that's still good, but just a little bit less good, and you're like, okay. But I did really, really thoroughly enjoy this one still, and after, like, I kind of, like, read The Catcher in the Rye and immediately started reading this, and then I was like, I'm not liking this because I have a bias right now, so I set them both down for a little bit, and then picked this back up, and I liked it a lot more. And I also just like the way it looks. Like, that just looks cool, in my opinion, personally. Yeah. I know that people do not like J.D. Salinger. And, I know that people think that he was very annoying. And I see where they're coming from. I really do. But me personally, I think he was hilarious and very relatable. And sorry to the clerk at one of the bookstores in my town because he hates him. And I know he does, and I love him. And I'm gonna keep on loving him. Sorry. Holden Caulfield, you get it. I can't describe it any better than that. Okay. Next up, we have The Color Purple by Alice Walker, and oh my god, this is one of my favorite books ever. And I have not watched the movie, I have not seen the musical, I need to get to both of those. But wow, oh wow, oh my, oh my. What a book, what a story, what a character. Freaking Celie Row, like, this shit made me so fucking sad, and just, like, genuinely made my stomach hurt, but I think that it's really, like, wow, like, ahead of its freaking time, because it's realistic, it is a good portrayal of queer people, but it like, has the hardships, it has the downsides, I guess, or, like, the tough parts, but then it's not just suffering, and I love that so much. I love when a book is meaningful, or, like, anything is meaningful or has impact or is good, but it doesn't just rely on suffering and pain and sadness to be good. Which, trust there is a fair share of suffering and pain and whatever other word I used in this, like, trust there is, but spoiler, but it has a happy ending, and I think that that's a very, very good thing for a book to be able to do, to, like, make you feel something, and then not just depend on, you know, ruining, or not ruining, but just, like, having a sad ending to make it be impactful. And, yeah, wow, read it, watch it, whatever. I haven't watched it, so I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'm going to, and you should definitely read it. And Alice Walker, what a writer. And knowing that Alice Walker, Audre Lorde, and Adrienne Rich were all in the same circles is really just crazy to me. And I love it. And I love learning about that. Amazing book. Okay, next up we have The Wife by Meg Wolitzer. The only other book I have read by Meg Walter is The Interestings, which I really, really liked. And this was very different, and it was still good, which I think is really, really interesting and very cool for an author to be able to do. Kind of similarly to Truman Capote, where it's like two books that are like, these don't feel like they were written by the same person. But they were. And this was a good, short little read. Personally, the main character, I cannot relate. I would not be in your shoes, girl. But more power to you, I guess. Okay, moving on. A Man Without a Country, Kurt Vonnegut. Wow, wow, wow. Love him. I also love large print books. Let's do that more often. Let's get on that. And books with drawings. Why don't we have more books with drawings? Hashtag awesome. Oh, this was the one with the mailbox, or the envelope, thing. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to read it because my camera is going to die again. Oh, okay. Okay. Where, I passed my wife, ... Where are you going? She calls out, ... So she can't help but ask, where are you going? And I say, I'm going out to get an envelope. And she says, well, you're not a poor man. Why didn't you buy 1,000 envelopes? They'll deliver them and you can put them in a closet. And I say, hush. And then it goes on and it keeps going and la 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 la. And he just like talks about his trip to go get envelopes and la 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 and all of this stuff. And he says, then I go outside and there's in a mailbox and I feed the pages to the giant blue bullfrog and it says rip it. And I go home and I have had one hell of a good time. Electronic communities build nothing. You wind up with nothing. We are dancing animals. How beautiful it is to get up and go out and do something. We are here on earth to fart around. Don't let anybody tell you any different. We are here on earth to fart around. And I can't tell you how many situations I have been in where I have genuinely thought we are here on earth to fart around and I've had a great time. And it just like fixed something in my brain, I think, because we are here on earth to fart around. It's as good as it gets. Definitely recommend anything by Kurt Vonnegut. Amazing. And I loved that one particularly because it was all just like, it felt like I was just like reading his journal, which felt really cool, and I was a big fan. Okay, next up we have There There by Tommy Orange. This one I really liked. I feel like I didn't pay enough attention to it, which I am sad about because I don't like that I didn't. But I like lost interest, not because it was bad or not because of anything the book was doing, just because I kept getting distracted while I was reading it and then just like picking it back up and just like not completely taking it in. But even so, for the last like 100 pages, I was locked in and I was like, damn, this is really good. But I wish I had been more attentive in the first part of the book as well. So it's probably one that... Okay, my camera died again, hopefully for the last time, because we are on the last couple books. So, yay. Okay, so the last one was There There by Tommy Orange. And then we have Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson, A Savage Journey to the Heart of the American Dream. This book was so, like, wow, just like, whew, we're doing something every single second. And apparently it is, I don't remember if he said it was his favorite book or his favorite author, but there's a bookstore in town, and I was talking to the guy at the cash register, and he has this big ass poster of Hunter S. Thompson up in the store, and he was like just talking about how much he loved him, which like the book was good and it was very funny and very interesting and not like something I'd read before, but I am a little bit nervous to go back in there because I'm just like, bro, I don't know how that's your favorite author or favorite book. Not that it's bad, it's just like, oh wow, we're doing a lot of different things all at once. But I did really enjoy it, and I just also felt very cool reading it. It feels like a cool book to read. So yeah, I think I gave it 4 stars. It's very, just like, there's not a dull moment. Not a dull moment. But yeah, very, very good. And then the last book that I read, I do still have the poetry to go through, but the last book that I read that was like an actual book was My Friends by Fredrik Backman. This book made me cry like almost every other page. I don't know, I've never read, this was the first Fredrik Backman book I read, and I want to read Beartown. I've been wanting to read Beartown for a while, and I want to read Anxious People, and then another one that my mom suggested to me by him, but I really, really loved this book, and it made me very sad, and made me very nostalgic, and made me realize that I'm not 14 anymore, and that wasn't a great feeling, and yeah, it made me super, super nostalgic, super, super just like, it was just like bittersweet, I guess, but very good, and I think that Frederick Bachman just sees the world in a very whimsical and mystical way, which I really, really appreciate. And I also liked just reading something that wasn't just like, it's just kind of straightforward. Like, what you see is what you get, and it was just kind of like, you know, a fun little read. And yeah, really, really, really liked it. Really made me sad. Was very good. Okay, that is the last actual book that I read in 2025, and now we have a couple of poetry books to go over. Then I also want to do some honorable mentions. It's just two, but these were two books that I read for a long time in 2025 and never actually ended up finishing, which one of them is Under Milkwood by Dylan Thomas. This is such a short book. It's actually a play, but for some reason I could not fucking get through this. I restarted this book, or this play, like 8 billion times, and I could not get past, like, the first 20 pages. I don't know why, and I still want to read it, but it just, like, was not clicking for me for some reason. And then the other one is Animal Farm, but in French. And this obviously was taking me a long time because it's in French, and I have to translate it. I'm still reading it. I'm pushing through. I'm gonna freaking read this book, bro. But yeah, this one is a bit more difficult to read than like Le Petit Prince was, or any other book that, or like anything that I've read in French, just because it's kind of like more advanced language structure as well as being in French, so it's just like not fun. But I'm gonna finish it, and I believe in myself, and it's gonna get read. It's gonna be done. It might be in 2027. We'll see, but it's gonna get finished. Okay. Next up for poetry, the first one we have is, I'm going out of order here. First one we have is White Pine by Mary Oliver. And I'm actually just going to do all of these all at once because I feel like it. White Pine by Mary Oliver, Thirst by Mary Oliver, and Swan by Mary Oliver. And I also read Dog Songs by Mary Oliver. I don't have that one, but yeah, I really like the way these look also together. These look really cool. I don't know. They're just nice. Anyways, I would say out of these three, Swan was definitely my favorite. I did also love the other two, obviously. Thirst was really, really, like, big for me in winter. I reread so many of these, just, like, being like, damn, like, it's winter, and I'm reading Mary Oliver, you know what I mean? But, yes, very, very good. And, obviously, White Pine as well. But Swan, I don't know. Swan just, like, there was a little something extra there, and then also one of the ones I read in here, I genuinely was like, it's probably one of my favorite poems, but it's When, and I'm trying to find it so I can read it because it was like, wow, wow, wow. It's just very short and very just like, you know, very sweet and short, and oh, here it is, okay. When it's over, and we don't know, any of us, what happens then. So I try not to miss anything. I think in my whole life, I have never missed a full moon, or the slipper of its coming back, or a kiss. Well, yes, especially a kiss. And just, wow. Love. And I love Mary Oliver, and she's amazing, and she's an inspiration, and I try to live my life in a way that she would be proud of, and I genuinely mean that, even though it sounds silly. And her and Molly Malone Cook make me insane, and they make me want to rip my hair out, and each and every one of these is dedicated to Molly. And I think that is probably the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life, and it makes me want to climb the walls and rip my ceiling down and eat the drywall. So yeah, okay, next we have Time's the Mother by Ocean Vuong, which this actually, well, I guess not technically because I read like half of On Earth Very Briefly Gorgeous, but this was the first full work of Ocean Vuong's that I read, and I absolutely loved it. Do you guys see that? Sorry, it says Ilya. Ilya Kaminsky, or however you, Kaminsky. That's crazy. Ilya Rozanov, Ocean Vuong fan confirmed. But no, it was really beautiful. Just like, I don't know, the way he writes just makes me like ache, like it makes me hurt. And I think that's a good thing because it means that it's impactful and all of that good stuff. But yeah, definitely not a feel-good poet, not somebody I would turn to lighten the mood. But great, nonetheless. And then we have Tonight No Poetry Will Stir by Adrienne Rich. I read this one at the beach as well, and it's very waterlogged, as you can tell. And yeah, I love Adrienne Rich. I'm actually doing a poetry project about her right now in my English class, and I'm so excited to present things about her life and her and Michelle Cliff. That part. Her and Michelle Cliff are also very much a couple where I'm like, wow, like you guys got it down. You got it. And yeah. Okay, then we have Tickets for a Prayer Wheel by Annie Dillard, and this, I was not aware that Annie Dillard wrote poetry until I found this one day in Dixon Street Bookstore, and I bought this for $15, which is a lot more than I normally spend on a book, but it is because I just think this is such a beautiful copy of this book, and I just really wanted it, and the text is in red. It's like a deep red, and I just love that so much, and I love like good printing. It's just, you know, like this is just a good copy of a book. So yeah, loved. There were a few in here that I liked way more than other ones. Feast Days, I think, was one in here that I was like, damn, that's really, really good. I'm not gonna read it though because I've already read enough in this video, I think. And then the next and final book we have, ladies and gentlemen, is The Cold and the Rust by Emily Van Clay, which was another collection I found in Dixon Street Bookstore that I had never heard of her before. I'd never heard of this collection before, but I just liked the way it looked, per usual, and I liked the title. And I feel like I'm going to, hopefully, if I get into any of the colleges up there, I'm going to move to the north, and this is going to be like, I'm living the cold and the rust life, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that feeling, but it's very good. Okay, so my camera died, again last night while I was on my last and final book, but it was like 1 in the morning and I really wanted to go to sleep, so I was like, I'll film an outro later. So this is my outro. I think I was still technically talking about the Cold and the Rust, but you know what? That's okay. I don't need to finish what I ever thought I was on. But yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and I hope that you liked this video, or that you found some good books to read, or that you just had a good time, basically. And yeah, I know I had a lot of fun. I love talking about books that I've read and things that I like, so this was awesome for me. And oh, going in and out of focus apparently. Right, that's okay. But yeah, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. And I might honestly start doing like a monthly book review type thing so that I don't have to do one big long one like this one was, so that my camera maybe will stay charged through the whole video whenever I record. But yeah, so I might do that, I might not, I don't know. I'll see if it sounds fun or like something I'd want to do. But yeah, and I'm really wanting to get back to posting like regular vlogs or just like videos in general. I don't really know what kind of videos, but yeah, we'll see. And yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and yeah, go follow my Goodreads if you want to. I talk a lot about books on there, and I put books that I want to read on there, and there's books on there, low key. But yeah, okay, I think that's all. I hope that you are having a great day, and y'all should go read, all I'm saying. Okay.